the related to the SQL Server architecture. So this is a concept. Without this interview question, their interview will not end. So that much critical this question is. Explain about SQL Server architecture. Okay. So this is the question, as I'm repeating. Without this question, there will be no interview. So which is the reason this answering this question is almost 40% of the interview. If you answer this question confidently, then it means that you completed 40% of the interview successfully, which is the reason that is so important here. Okay. Okay. So you are able to see the picture of the SQL Server architecture, right? Your voice is again not.
Sorry. Yes, bro. It is audible.
Okay, now okay. So you can see the picture which I am showing.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the architecture which helps to understand what is happening in the background of SQL Server. From front end, what we are seeing, installing SQL Server, and we are seeing the services which are running. We are seeing the services which are running, and we are just connecting to that particular services, and we are able to see this. But what is happening in the background is the point, is the interview question. So they want to understand from you how much understanding you have on the architecture and to understand what is happening in the background. So this is architecture which happens in the background. First thing, this is the user. User means anyone. Now I am connecting here. I will be treated as a user. If any other person is connecting, he will be treated as a user. Anyone who wants to connect to the database services are called as a user. Okay, so user is here and he is ready to connect to the SQL services. He is ready to connect to the SQL services. As I remember, I told yesterday, to connect to the SQL services, we are using one of the graphical tool. Okay, you know that SQL services are running fine, but how you will know what is happening on the background, what is services are running? If, for example, if I want to know the version of the services which are running, how I will know? So this is the reason. This is a Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. This is, in short, it is called as SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio. So this is a management studio which is used to show what is happening on the background, what is happening on the software. As I told yesterday, when we install this software, the setup which we will be here, this one will be coming by default. Think that we are just connecting to a software which is running. If we connect to the software, we can see this particular information, system databases. This we created, however, by default it will not be there. All others will be there by default. Instance name, databases, snapshot, security, objects, replication, AG feature, management, integration services, agent. All these will be configured by the software, by the Microsoft. Okay, this is a graphical tool which we connect. So if I directly go ahead and give these details, and if I connect, will I able to connect? How? What is the flow of that? That's what we want to understand here. The flow. What is the flow of that? So the flow which is we are seeing as an architecture. The connect user. Take an example of me. I want to connect to the database services. I want to connect to the database service. Suppose think that I want to connect to a data file. I want to see the data file. I want to see the log file. So for that, I need to connect to the SQL services through one of the graphical tool called as SSMS. through one of the graphical tool called as SSMS. Which we want to see. First thing is SQL Server network interface. Okay, so these services which are running, it will not directly allow you to connect to the database immediately. There is a layer, there is one layer which allows us to go to the next level by understanding the procedure of the way you are connecting. So there is an interface, means there is a layer which is there to connect to the next layer, next level of the layer. So the interface which we see here is, we can see of the configuration manager. When we install SQL Server, the configuration manager, SQL Server configuration manager also will be installed by default. With these services, the SQL Server configuration manager also will be installed. So in this, I want to presently focus on network configuration, which I want to relate to the network interface. So to allow connections or not, this network configuration, network interface will decide what the user need to do, whether to allow to the next level or not. This user interface, we will have an option. Under this, we will have the protocol. So network configuration means network interface. Under this, we have protocols. So the point here is the protocols which are shared memory. These are types of protocols. I'll add this as an interview question. Types of protocols in SQL Server. Types of protocols in SQL Server are shared memory, named pipes, TCP by IP. So these are the three protocols which will allow to the next level. I will explain you the protocols. These protocols will allow to the next level. So why we have three protocols is the question. So shared memory is a protocol to connect to the local services. I'll have a diagram for that, which helps. Okay. Okay.